Good morning. Nice to see some familiar football around yesterday, and that's going to be the pattern as we move into August. Lots of familiar names, and hopefully they will deliver as they normally do, which was indeed the case yesterday. We had a whole raft of matches. Day off for me, but I hope you picked up on a few of these. Sparta Prague started off nicely, conceding the first goal, equaliser by half-time. You could always get involved in a half-time market if you want, particularly for a 1.14 shot. And we did the last year's research. I think it was only 4 defeats all season. So Sparta not expected to lose yesterday, and that was the case. Nice and simple, wasn't it? Aarhus and Midtjylland. Midtjylland, top side from last season. We could have had an even better entry point at half-time had Mortensen, lead singer of Aha, not missed the penalty. Got a Buxa equaliser nice and early in the second half. And this is the kind of trading that I like. Familiar names. I know it's the opening day of the season. The in-play stats were not that hot for Midtjylland. That was the only thing stopping me getting involved in the first half. No shots on target at all. But second half, slight improvement. Nordland didn't really have a play on that, but an odds-on favourite, 2-0 up by half-time. Hoverdovra, this is another one you could have targeted to draw late on. Thoroughly deserving their quote based on last season's form. I know it's the opening day of the season. In-play stats was crucial in making any decision-making here. As you can see, look at the leaning to the left, 22 goal attempts, 11 shots off target, 12 corners. This is the kind of stuff that you're looking for to lay any draw second half. And indeed, the right team scored, Hoverdovra, and it was a penalty. So, a good defensive display from Koj. You'll have to conclude there. Thoroughly deserved. Bodo Glimt never going to lose 2 consecutive matches, were they? Deserved a 3-0, 3-1, any other home score based purely on the pre-match odds, 1.17 shot. Scored first before the 20-minute mark. That was a potential angle in for the second half, laying the draw second half in the hope that Bodo Glimt actually turn up today. They didn't turn up in the last match. 2-1 loss against Sandefjord away from home. This is more like it, isn't it? So some really good stuff yesterday. Familiar names. Just what we like to see. Top 2 in Poland last season. Jagiellonia first, Śląsk Wrocław second. Playing 2 newly promoted sides. And this was the potential angle here. Lechia Gdansk scoring first. I think it was Lech Wałęsa getting the goal. No, it wasn't. It was Neugebauer. And a very, very late equaliser from Śląsk Wrocław. I did actually play this one myself, but because it was so late and I wanted to get to bed, if you add another 6 hours to that, I actually cashed out of my under 1.5 goals and +1 because I had a profitable day. I didn't want to not neglect a trade by going to bed. But this would have been a very welcome sight in the morning. A 92nd minute equaliser for Śląsk Wrocław. And again, don't forget, we used to be called delay react trade for a reason. You could have delayed late on, laid Lechia Gdansk late on. Don't forget, newly promoted side. So a good early performance from them against second in the league. They'll be disappointed, Śląsk Wrocław, not to have got the win. Because if they want to go for first, they're going to have to turn these into 3 points. Malmo, another side who were not quite firing in the first half if you looked at the in-play stats. And this was one I was on the verge of telling you about at 1-0. Just thankfully, I kept my mouth shut. 2-0. You could have got involved 2-0. It's effectively an underdog leading 2-0 on or around half-time. You're going to get decent odds against Malmo. You're going to get nice low odds against Sirius to lay them. And Malmo turned up. You could have even got a 2-2 here. Desmond 2-2 ending. And if you stuck with Malmo throughout, you'd have been profitable in this particular play. But their in-play stats were not that good. But having said that, if you look at overall, 15 shots, 11 off. They started coming alive second half. A total of 14 shots on target, 14 shots in total, 4 corners, 13 free kicks. But it's the corner count and it's the whole rather than the half that really impressed. Sligo Rovers and Everton, just a little mention for this. Sligo Rovers taking, I think it was a 3-0 lead. 2-0 lead. And this is the typical of friendlies. Look, you're going to get a whole change in the second half. And we've got 2 late equalisers. So up to you if you want to play friendlies. But what I would say, if you do play friendlies, make sure there's a huge gap in the quality of the teams. Make sure the strong Premier League side is in trouble as late as possible. And take on the Sligo Rovers equivalent. So that was yesterday. Tennis, I didn't really pay much attention to yesterday. Day off for me yesterday, so I just had a nice break. But let's have a look as I zip some coffee. Rafa Nadal continues to provide us with very, very decent odds relative to the Clay King. Normally it's 1.05, 1.03, 1.1. 1.36 and against Cameron Norrie 1.5. So if you fancy a bit of the Clay King Rafa in Sweden, boy, is he providing you with some very decent returns relative to what you normally get for a player of this stature. Montero, arguably, he should have been competitive, which indeed he was. He won the second set, but didn't win the match. I would have gone for this one, I think, because he's South American on clay. I know it's very simplistic, but South Americans and Spaniards, look at them. They're all dominating in bastard. Yeah, bastard. So well done to those bastards in bastard. Mostly Spanish, South American origin. No coincidence. So quietish day yesterday. Foggy. Came up against Stefanos Tsitsipas. So his recent quality run has ended, but only 1 break of serve in the first half. Probably 1 in the second half. Struff, I like Struff, but no problems. He won the first set. Berrettini against Auger Aliassime. Well, Market got Berrettini spot on here. Rune retired. So just stick that in your notebook, particularly with the US Open coming up. Holger Rune, why did he retire? That's what we need to know. Is it a significant injury? Is it just a niggle? Zverev continuing to do the job at home in Germany. When you see him at home, he's a good trade if he drops the first set. Watch out for these Australians. They are terriers. Chris Eubank on grass is pretty decent, although he didn't show it at Wimbledon. And he showed it here. He won the first set. Vukic won the second. So that could have arguably been an angle in. I do like these Australian players. They are very, very competitive, as befits the nation. Looking on to today, football-wise, and I wish that yesterday's coupon was on today because we would have had some fun. Let's have a look through. Finnish Veikkausliiga. Oulu against newly promoted Ekenas. Only 3 wins for Oulu all season, but why on earth are they such short price favourites? Is it because Ekenas are newly promoted? Only 3 wins and you want me to back you at 1.6. It's just telling me in-play stats, please. Sarpsborg against Brann, 1.7 Brann. No draw in 11 matches for Sarpsborg. That could be an angle. Both teams have scored in their last 8. So we could be expecting that today. Both teams have scored in the last 3 away for Brann. So both teams to score with Brann not losing would be the possible angle here today. Don't forget the in-play stats will trump everything. As you would have, I hoped, benefited from the in-play stats yesterday if you played yourself. Molde and KFUM Oslo. Only 3 defeats for Molde. KFUM have failed to score in only 2 matches, so they might get on the score sheet today. But Molde have scored 2+ goals in all bar 1 home match. That's a really solid foundation to work off. Polish Ekstraklasa you saw yesterday. It was actually pretty tradable, the opening day of the season. Katowice against Radomiak. 88% over 1.5 goals away for Radomiak. Just giving you a heads up in case it's 0-0 at half time. Katowice, newly promoted, so just be a little wary. They're playing one of the strugglers from last season. So Katowice, first home match of the season in the top flight. Are they going to perform? The market can't split this at all. They're not discounting the newly promoted side. And we're already beginning to pick up our newly promoted, newly relegated. We had 2 of them yesterday and a third today. So the first 3 matches in the Polish Ekstraklasa have involved the newly relegated, newly promoted sides. And they're yet to win. Pogoń against Korona Kielce, 4th against 14th from last season. We've already had the top 2 yesterday. We've got 4th today, and they're odds-on favourite. No 0-0 at home for Pogoń last season. Korona never 1-0 away last season, i.e., if they score first. They haven't 1-0 last season, so are they going to do it today? Take a chance. Legia Warsaw, very familiar name, 3rd. So we've had the top 4 from last season, playing in the first 4 matches of this season in Poland. 3rd against 8th, the top 10 clash, 2-1 home win and a 0-3 away win for Legia in last year's head-to-heads. Jekyll and Hyde, Lubin, they're a difficult side to weigh up. This is their form away against the top 10. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. So they can win and they can lose. What's it going to be today? So they have that ability, Lubin, if they continue their away form, to be a pain in Legia's behind. 100% over 1.5 goals away, suggesting we should expect 2 goals at least. Swiss Super League, great to see the Swiss Super League season. This is all from last season, of course. Got nothing to offer you apart, as far as seasonal form is concerned. 2nd against 11th from last season. So Lugano will be fancying their chances here against the 2nd bottom from last season, unless there's been significant improvement. Lugano failed to score only 4 times last season, so do expect a goal from them. Grasshoppers failed to score in 8 out of 11 recent away matches. Boy, that's awful. Is that going to continue on? Yverdon were newly promoted last season, 10th against 6th from last season, 3-0 and 3-2 home wins and a 2-0 away loss for Yverdon in head-to-head. I think they quite fancy themselves at home. They won 10 matches, drew 4, 3 of them scored draws and lost only 2 at home last season. So I would disagree slightly with the market here. This Yverdon Sport cannot be discounted based on last season's home form. They could surprise. Zurich, unreadable away form last season. They can beat 2nd and 3rd, but they can lose to 4th and 5th. They can beat 7th, but they can't beat 8th to 11th. I don't like unreadable sides like this. A bit like this Lubin. Win-loss, 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 win-loss against the top 10. Which one turns up today, the win or the loss? We don't know. Winterthur and St Gallen, 5th against 4th, top 5 clash. So it could be tighter than this 1.85 quote suggests for me. On head-to-heads, very competitive head-to-heads. 2-1 home win, 4-2 away loss, 2-2 away draw for Winterthur in head-to-head. So both teams are scoring. Winterthur are scoring 2 goals consistently against St Gallen. Now, of course, I'm making gross assumptions that last season's form is going to continue. I have also got the Norwegians today, and at least the Obos-Ligaen. I'm not going to research this. I've given up on these leagues. They're just totally and utterly unreliable, I'm afraid to say. But my initial port of call will be these odds-on favourites, Vålerenga and Lyn. And I will research in play, certainly. But you can tell this is a tough coupon, 2.3, 2.5, the favourite. Awful stuff. Talking of awful stuff, we've got the Swedish second tier as well. The Allsvenskan, I think I omitted the research for this. My apologies. I don't think the coupon was up earlier enough in the week, but I will be following this on your behalf today. Look out for Djurgården. Well, it looks as if we're not going to be missing anything anyway. 2.25 and 2.5 the favourite. There's very little I can offer you from a research standpoint, but you can have an idea. I think Djurgården and I will be using the in-play stats for this and for the Super Retin. Oster, very strong odds on. Orebro, but again, 2.35 the favourite in the Super Retin. No apologies for not researching. It just seems to be just a monumental waste of time and effort. I bring you back to Kongsvinger, top of the league, odds on favourite at home, suddenly losing 5-0 to 15th in the league. That's what we're dealing with for these Norwegians, lower tiers. But I'll be on hand for you today from 2 o'clock onwards. It'll have to be a very strong in-play stats bias today, as it was yesterday. It's very, very readable yesterday. I hope you enjoyed getting stuck into some proper readable football. Tennis today, Rafa still continues to be decent odds relative to Rafa. So up to you if you want to have a go at a 33% return on your investment. Taranti and Borges, no clue there, I'm afraid. Struff, I do like. We'll keep an eye on Rafa. Tsitsipas and Berrettini, this is going to be fascinating. I think Berrettini will be competitive here. He was a 2-set winner yesterday against a pretty decent Algo Elisiem, at least from a rankings perspective, 18th in the world rankings. So a good win in 2 straight sets. Stefanos Tsitsipas can be a little flaky at times, so I think this could be a 3-setter. Certainly it could be one to eye, taking the Greek on if he wins the first set. I would expect Zverev to continue delighting his home fans. In the ladies, we've got the All-American affair, so watch out. Chris Eubank and Opelka, well, Mickelson, the favourites. 2 Americans, they might find each other's game familiar enough to look for a 3-setter. In Austria, still, it's the clay part of the season. These are some of the lesser-known names. So I don't know much. I know Mikhail Kukushkin, but I don't know many of these others. Ramos, ATP in Croatia. Don't know many of these either. We might see Novak Djokovic perhaps near his home. Yeah, I don't know much about these players. This is the problem. We're in no man's land because we're not yet in the pre-US Open, pre-tournaments for the US Open. So we're on clay. US Open is on hard. So it's very tricky for any tennis trader, I think, to confidently trade some of these. Just let familiarity be your friend when you're trading. So today, I will see you throughout the day. 2 o'clock for the Swedish football. A very strong in-play stats bent today, I think, particularly as we have those very poor lower tier Swedish Superettan and Norwegian Allsvenskan. Norwegian Tippeligaen. We've got some other smattering of other matches. The Belgian Super League, I think, is beginning on the 3rd of August. So this is a precursor to that. Club Brugge against Union St Gilloise. Don't forget, it's an overblown friendly, all things equal. So very tough to get a handle on. Bulgaria, with some familiar names. Levski Sofia. And this is turning into what could be a decent enough Saturday for me. It'll keep me on my toes throughout the day. We've got this is the Chancellor League. We don't have the Czech top flight just yet. Danish First Division continues. Odense against Esbjerg. Again, in-play stats will tell us on the first day of the season in that particular match. Finnish Veikkausliiga, HJK Helsinki and Oulu look pretty good. So again, they're going to be on the short list of matches to follow on your behalf today. Hopefully I can yield a few trades for you. The Pikeys are playing against Middleton. Pikey Rovers. Cork City, familiar names, having a good time of it in the First Division against Finnarf. We don't have any odds to work with, suggesting it might not be on Betfair. All hail to the Ale, Apple Beersheva, one of your sides to follow in Israel throughout this upcoming Liga Ha'al season. They are a very, very good trading site if they've kept their personnel from this past season. Japanese J-League, I might be around for that. Early kick-off Kawasaki Frontale, very good trading side. I like them. They stand out for me. Moving on down. So this is how the weekends are going to improve. We're going to start seeing some familiar names. Mulder and Bran. And of course the Oberliga. I'm not going to research, as I've said. It's not worth my effort, I'm afraid. We wanted the nice readable leagues like we got yesterday. We've got readable enough, but it is the opening day of the season in Poland. Polish First Division might get some interest, particularly if you know who was the newly relegated side in the Polish First Division. So let's have a look. Ekstraklasa. Relegated meets Legnia Lechia Gdansk with the Plock. I thought Lechia Gdansk played yesterday. Meets, so we don't have any of them today. No newly relegated. Romanian One League will be on my radar today as well. Union Craiova, familiar names. Rapid Bucharest and Cluj. It's got a feel of a derby-style match, hasn't it? You can see that with the quote there. Russian Premier League used to be very tradable. Zenit St. Petersburg absolutely dominating the league, but it's been boycotted effectively from Betfair. Scottish League Cup is eminently gettable. We've had some good plays. We had Partick Thistle. We had Allay the Draw Livingston last match. Again, just look for obvious gaps in quality. Falkirk, Motherwell, Aberdeen, Partick Thistle. I think they got us a nice win. Last match against Montrose, if I'm correct. Yeah, that was tradable. Partick against Montrose. You've got all the clues here. 1.33 favourite pre-match. Conceding the first goal, equalised by half-time. If you went in match odds market, you'd have been out. Or you could have been out with that. You've certainly been out with this. Very, very efficient. And they even threw in a Desmond Tutu for you. And obliged with the winner. So could be worth following Partick. They could be up for the cup. So I like it today. It's a very robust enough coupon. We're just looking for readable matches. And we've got plenty of them today. We've even got Red Star Belgrade at 7 o'clock, but that's probably a little bit too late for me. Crvena Zvezda, they're also known as. Allsvenskan, as we know, Superettan, Swiss Super League, well worth following. Like it. Opening days of the season, though, so in-play stats will play a more important part. Pattaya City playing against Cambodia. I missed that one. Was that played in Pattaya? I do go there on occasion. Any familiar big boys out today? Highly likely we will see some Premier League sides. We've got West Ham. So let's have just a quick look through. You saw with Everton, if you wanted to play, make sure your liability is as low as possible. That way, if you do get caught out, because it is a friendly, you're not going to be losing too much. But if you do capture that kind of Everton comeback from 3-1 down to 3-3 in the space of 2 minutes, that's what we're after. Atletico Bilbao would interest me today. Parma, Antwerp, Monaco, Saint-Etienne in the top flight now. Napoli, awful season last season relative to being champions the season prior to that. Besiktas, Real Sociedad, highly unlikely to be playing the first 11 because of AC Milan as well against Rapid. So some really good stuff. Really familiar names. Augurs well for August. August is when it starts going crazy. I won't know what to do. The Worms are playing today as well. Rangers are playing Man United. Man United played Rosenborg in a friendly recently, and that was pitiful stats for Man United. And as you can see, Rosenborg won 1-0. This is typical of Man United pre-season. You can look at all of these. S. Murray, that's Andy Murray's uncle, was playing. A Fish was playing. Is that Billy the Fish? Probably is with the W. William the Fish. Billy the Fish probably in goal. On loan from Viz Comics. So just be very wary, Man United. Well, just be very wary with friendlies. But as I said yesterday, you saw with Everton, there is opportunities if they're in play for you to make some money. We want to see huge gaps in quality between the two sides, like this one, for example, the Havre and Fougères. Anything else? Let's have a look. I think West Ham are playing. Villarreal playing Leicester City. Aston Villa against Trnava. So some good stuff. But I would caution you, if you do play friendlies, make sure your liability is kept to a bare minimum. QPR against Spuds. That should be interesting. So it's very familiar names in it. Jersey Bulls. Well, Jersey, next to Guernsey, where my parents live. So that's a fascinating Stevenage heading off to Jersey to play the Jersey Bulls. Wow, excellent. Mick Hucknall's out and about as well. Anything to stop him singing. West Ham under-21s. I thought it was West Ham's major side, but no, the under-21s. There it is. Dagenham and Redbridge against West Ham. All right, son. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. You. All right, my son. Shut it. You're not my mother. You ain't my mother. You're not my father. Shut it. I've done a pub. You go down a Queenfleet. Sheffield United. Anyone else? What I like is Irish, Republic of Irish sides against Premier League sides. That's what we had with the Sligo Rovers Everton. You always get a decent match. Werder Bremen. Norwich. They'll just get a view. They'll get a look in the in-play stats. But as I say, they're not going to be priority because you saw with Man United against Rosenborg, massive changes in the second half. The scorelines just don't matter to management. They just don't matter. 1-0 Rosenborg win. It's not going to break the bank, is it? And it's not going to get old Den Haag losing his job. West Brom against Peterborough could be an interesting one. So some good stuff. PSV Eindhoven playing Paderborn. Porto on a Maritimo. So some good stuff in the friendly. Shakhtar Donetsk playing Ipswich. Wow, that's an interesting match. FC Twente playing Hanover. We don't have any odds at all, as you can see. I do take my cues from the odds, but as I say, you're going to have a different team in the first half and the second half. So it does make life a little difficult. Pompey against Bognor Regis. Asteros Tripolis. All of these familiar names if you were with me throughout the season last season. All some very familiar teams. So as you can see, it's just never ending. So I will keep an eye on the friendlies, but it's going to be an in-play stats based day today. I've got in-play Guru up and ready. One of many stat scanners, and you can get free in-play stats as well with Total Corner or Trump Assassination, of course. Total Corner rather than Trump Assassination. Let's go to Total Corner. So this is your best free in-play stats feed. Why? Because they're all on the one page. Because it's free, you're not getting the kind of quality you get with a paid for, where the in-play stats are split into shots on target, shots off target, and the layout is a lot simpler with paid for service. But this is perfectly adequate. If you wanted to look at the in-play stats, you'd have to click on that and then you'd go to the right here. So it's a bit fiddly. Shots on target, shots off target, split for you there. But I would prefer to see those shots on and off target split here, so I could have it all on the one page. But this is your ideal in-play stats scanner, completely free. Have a great day. I think it's going to be a busy day. I hope so, at least. I'll be up and about for members throughout the day at footballtradingprofits.com. I'll be on Telegram for you. Plenty to catch my eye, so I hope I can provide you with a trade or two today.